Hey ladies. Oh my gosh, I am finally back from all of the trips that I have taken this month, which is so crazy. We went to Iowa for my dad's wedding at the end of April. We went to Florida last week for at an all-inclusive resort to sing and play music there. And then I should say, just got back from California last night at a weekend retreat with my Mastermind Sisters and my coach. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that to share my 3 takeaways from this amazing retreat. It was such a good weekend. Hey, Amber, thanks for hopping on. I am here live on both Facebook and Instagram, so if I'm looking back and forth, that's totally why. But so yeah, so many good things from this weekend. Oh my gosh, it was just such a crazy experience, and I can't believe it's already over, which is so sad. But for you guys who don't know, for first of all, like what a mastermind is, and then second of all, what a retreat looks like, I wanted to kind of explain that, and then I'll kind of go into like my top 3 biggest takeaways that are totally golden, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear them. So first of all, Mastermind, if you don't know, is a group that you typically buy into, like you pay money to be a part of this, this coaching group. Typically it's led by at least like 1 or more coaches, more of like facilitated by, and usually there's like maybe some modules or trainings or things like that. But you are in a group of other, in this case, it was other women. So my Mastermind Sisters, as you might hear me call them all the time, who are amazing. But a like small to like semi-large group of business owners. Maybe it's like for a yoga thing, maybe it's, it could be a specific industry, things like that. But it's basically to house and facilitate your learning for your business or however you're growing in that. Maybe it's a personal development type of growth. To help you facilitate that growth while surrounded by people that you need to be surrounded with in order to push you to that next level and like learn from each other, help, throw ideas back and forth, get feedback, really just up-level you to the next place in your business or your growth, whatever that looks like. So this mastermind, hey, Sarah, this mastermind is specifically for introverted coaches, which is perfect because that's totally me, to help like get to like consistent months in their business and really just like up level their business into that next stage of growth. So all of my Mastermind Sisters and I are like we're in a lot of very different businesses, but we're at a very similar place personally and in our business about like how to grow it to the next level, what we're doing, not necessarily wrong, but what we could be doing differently, how we could improve things. Basically, you'll hear people say like, what got you here won't get you there, which is like so true. In many cases, it's not just like one level, but it's like every time that you up level, it's totally true. Like whatever you were doing to get you to where you are now is not necessarily going to work. If you continue to do it, you're going to kind of like plateau and keep maintaining that versus like growing to that next level. So you have to like up level and do things different and try new things and things like that. So that's really what the mastermind group is about. And then the retreat was kind of like a package added on to the mastermind that I signed up for. Hey, Katie, thanks for hopping on. So the retreat was a 3-day weekend at Venice Beach, California in LA, which was amazing. It was actually kind of chilly this weekend, but it was still really nice to be by the beach and in these great Airbnb houses, if I can say that right. And just to be surrounded by people that you need to surround yourself with. It's one thing to have friends and family, support you in a level that, you feel supported, you feel like, sometimes you have this, sometimes you don't, where it's like friends and family maybe support you in what you're doing. Maybe they're just like, hey, awesome, like good job, you're doing great. Sometimes they don't support you, but having like-minded people that are in the same stages as you and are growing too is so key. And to have like a coach to help train you on like what they've done, or see, you know, areas or parts of you that you can't, just because you have so many things going on in your head. It's hard to see your own pitfalls and things like that. So it's really good to just like pull you to that next stage, and definitely out of your comfort zone and things like that. So I'll get a little bit more into that. But the retreat, it was 3-day weekend. So we had a dinner on Friday, like kind of like a welcome dinner on Friday night. And then Saturday, it was pretty much all day. It was very long, which was good, but I was definitely exhausted by the time it was over on Saturday. With different help from other coaches, kind of guest experts come in too, and just really get like some like laser coaching in on what's going on for you, what's coming up, what is holding you back, like how are you feeling about it, different things, so that not only can you get coached on, but you can hear like the other people in your group be coached on too, which might be relevant to you, especially since you're in a similar place. So that was Saturday. And then Sunday was kind of like that up-leveling day of, okay, now what do I need to do in order to move forward? Like now that I've kind of dealt with this, like what do I need to do next? So it was just so good. And there were tears, there were a ton of laughter, there was champagne toast at the end. Like it was just so much fun. I feel like none of us wanted to leave at the end too. So such a good weekend. But I thought it would be really good to just kind of explain what those things are to you guys today, so you have an understanding of like what that is, what I was doing, and how it was for my business, for me personally. So yeah, to get an idea of what those are so that this makes sense to you. So sharing my top 3 takeaways from this retreat weekend, which I think were so helpful for me, but also for you, regardless of where you're at in your business. So whether you're just getting started, maybe you're trying to go to that next level, maybe you're continuing to grow, things like that. It doesn't really matter where you are, because I feel like these are just 3 very important things you need to remember. And I want to like preface them saying that some of them seem really simple. You're like, oh yeah, duh, right? But unless you're actually stepping into that and doing it, we really don't, like we might think about that, like, yeah, I totally need to do that, but you're not really acting a different way. Your behaviors aren't changing. You're not changing your environment to facilitate that. You're not really stepping into that from a like tactical standpoint. You're just like, oh yeah, like I think I should do that. Like I probably should, but then maybe you're not. So they are a little bit simplistic, but if you actually take the actions to do these things, it will definitely get you to that next level and make a difference to your personal growth and your business growth for sure. So number 1, always, right? Number 1 is to get yourself outside of your comfort zone and really push yourself. So I want to give you some examples. So like I said, you really have to take action on these and not just like remember it in your head, but like really do it. So for example, the first, let's see here. So not at the welcome dinner, but at the first day of like diving in and being at the retreat, I told myself, like I went in and I was like, you know, of course, like I've invested in this, right? Like I have money down on it. So I want to get my return on investment. I talked about that in my video last week. So if you guys want to hear more about money and getting like thinking about money as a return on investment and making an investment versus like as an expense and being able to afford it, or coming from a place from affordability standpoint, go check that video out from last week, because that was really good, but I won't go into it too much this time. So of course, I invested pretty heavily in this mastermind and retreat. So I wanted to get, you know, my return on investment on it, which meant I had to fully show up in it. Like I had to come to it and like push myself outside of my comfort zone and really be involved and really ask questions so that I could get what I needed to get out of this. So during the first day, oh my gosh, it was so crazy. So during the first day, we had like we're just getting started with everything. And I forget how it kind of came up, or like what the topic was that we were kind of talking about. But I brought up, I was like, okay, push yourself outside your comfort zone. Like you need to say this. I felt like I was like discrediting myself, where I was like, yeah, like I'm just doing this. Or like when I talked about my business, it was like, oh yeah, like I do this, but like, okay, but what do you do? You know, like I was so afraid to talk about myself and like share about my business and what it is that I do, and just like stand confidently in that. And I really felt that like I discredited myself for everything that I have going on. So whether it's, running my 2 businesses or singing with my husband or having these like side projects on the side where I do like VA work and project management stuff online, let alone like, taking care of our animals and having time to myself and doing self-care and still spending time with family and my husband and stuff like that. Like there's so many things that I'm doing. And I feel like I discredit myself where I don't step into that and give myself credit for everything that I'm doing and able to manage and able to actually be successful about it. Like I'm always looking at like where I want to go versus like, okay, like, yeah, I did all that. Like I'm going to stand in that and like, take pride in that. And something's exciting outside. And just really like hold myself to that, be like, yeah, I'm confident in this because I've done all of these other things, right? So I brought that up and I'm really glad that I did, as much as I hated it in the moment. But one of the coaches was like, okay, stand up. And I was like, what? Like, mind you, this is a group of introverted coaches and entrepreneurs, right? So all of us are like, let's just stay here in our comfort zones, right? So she's like, okay, stand up. She's like, talk about you. And I was like, I talked about my businesses and what I wanted to do and things like that. And she's like, no, talk about you. Like, what's great about you? And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know how to do this. And she was like, she was in the same boat, which is why she made me do it, which was so great. So it was such a good exercise. It was terrifying. It was definitely outside of my comfort zone, but like, had I not just pushed myself to bring that up and be like, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I've been feeling for a while. Like, it's hard for me to talk about myself. It's hard for me to be confident in all of the things that I do and like, say that I do those. And this is, moving forward and stuff like that, like just standing in my own power. And that exercise, like totally up-leveled this whole new, like I totally stepped into a whole new version of myself, like because of that. So that's only one example, but like, if you go into something knowing you have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, and then the way that you show up and actually do that, that's going to help you tremendously. So whether it's like, maybe you're going to a networking event and you're like, okay, I have to talk to 5 people tonight. I hate doing these, but like, this is what I'm going to do. Or, maybe it's just someone that you meet and you're like, something comes up about your business and you're like, oh, maybe they're a potential client. Like, maybe I should say something, or like, ask, if it's meeting someone that has another business and like you want to learn from them, or like, whatever it is, like just getting yourself outside of your comfort zone and speaking up and like stepping into that is so, so key. So that's number 1. Number 2, such a crazy story that I kind of wanted to share with you guys, but this is such a great example just about everything that kind of happened this weekend. So like I said in last week's video, like I mentioned, and then just right now, how like I invested pretty heavily in this program because this is what I really needed. I felt like I was, maintaining both my businesses, but I needed to get to that next, that next step, that next level. And I didn't know how to do it on my own. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest in myself. Like I'm going to get to the next level with my businesses. So I want to talk about a little bit how money comes back to you, like how being generous or how investing in yourself, how you will get that return on investment if you do it. And it's totally how you approach it with your mindset, knowing that you're going to get something out of it. Like it is going to be worth your time. So a huge piece of that is your mindset, right? You have to go into something with a good mindset in order to get out of something, get out of it what you want. So if you're going into this, maybe like, oh, this was too much money. Maybe I wasted this amount of money. I shouldn't have spent this. I shouldn't have done this. Like this was a mistake on my part. And you're like second guessing yourself. You're probably not going to get a good return on investment on whatever that is, just because you're so negative coming at that. So the examples I wanted to give, first of all, was investing in this mastermind and the retreat. I didn't have to do the retreat. It was more money, but that's okay. I was like, no, like I need that atmosphere. I want to have that experience because I know it's going to help me so much more in person than just like online and virtual and stuff like that. So investing it, and like I said, huge chunk of money. It was a little nerve-wracking, but I was like, I know this is what I need. I am doing this and I'm going to get out of it what I need to. And that's how I went into this weekend too. That's why I was talking about pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. You have to approach it that way. Be like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to show up. This is what I'm going to get out of it. And usually there's a whole lot more that you get out of it, right? If you go into it with a good mindset. So first of all, having had that experience and coming out of it, like, did I get my return on investment? Totally. Like, I feel like just between meeting all of my mastermind sisters and connecting with them so heavily, and just having that experience of this weekend and what I got out of it, like, I already feel like I got my full return on investment for what I paid for it, which is huge. Because it's a 6-month program. So we still have like 4 months in this program, which is awesome. Like, even better, right? Like, I feel like it's just a bonus now. So yes, do I feel like it was worth my money? Absolutely. But the other piece of it, and the story that I wanted to share, because this is just such a good way to explain this a little bit more. But when there's so many of us, and me included, like, this was totally me. I was, right? This is not me anymore. But for so long, like, I would come at paying for things, whatever it was, with this idea of like, coming from a place of like affordability. Like, can I afford this? This is an expense. Like, how am I going to pay for this? Right? So when I saw numbers, it was like, oh, that's too much. Like, that's too expensive. I can't afford that. And I could go into so much more on this topic because it's all about your money mindset. But this year and last year, I worked so heavily on this because I wanted to get out of that place. You're in such a place of lack, or you're this like scarcity mode. Like, you're always afraid that there's not going to be enough. So therefore you are like holding on to things, like you're holding on to your money like it's going to disappear, right? Or that there's never going to be enough. So you have to like hold on to it. So there's so many of us that just think that way, and that's natural. Usually that's how you were brought up. That's how you were taught, like as a child, to kind of think about money, like maybe from your parents or other, you just hear people, the ways that they talk about money, like that's what creates your beliefs. So working on this and knowing that, it's okay. One of the big things, like, not only is like it okay to spend money, but it's okay to spend money on myself, like as a deep self-care standpoint. It's okay to do that. Like, it's okay to indulge every once in a while. It's okay to like nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to like break down, it's like, it's okay to do that. So, so here's the story from this weekend specifically. So Sunday night, the retreat got over. I spent a couple extra days in LA just to explore and kind of have a weekend and stuff like that. And of course, enjoy the beach because that's what I love. So Sunday, I lied. This would have been Monday night. So sorry. Retreat ended Sunday. Monday, said like goodbye to my mastermind sisters. They were all leaving. And then so like they left, we got breakfast, and I like checked out of the Airbnb, checked into the other place that I was staying at. And then I kind of went and explored for a while. And then I was sitting and I found this great little Italian restaurant because I was craving Italian food. It was like right on the beach. I sat on the patio, was like looking at the beach. It was just gorgeous. Like, I just was kind of reflecting on everything over the weekend and just had this huge sense of gratitude and just everything for the weekend. Like, I was just in such a good place. And because of that, and especially just like with the restaurant and the server that I had, like, he was just on top of things, just very sweet, just like brought me what I needed. It was just great. And I was just like such in that place of gratitude that I was like, I really want to tip him really, really well. Like, just to like be generous, like just to do this. Like, I just had like this feeling to go and do that. So my check was like $30 some, and I tipped him $20 on like that. So, and I'm not saying that to like gloat about that in any way. I want to show you this, like, this is the reason. So I tipped him really heavily and like, closed it, left on the table and like left. And I was like, part of me was like, oh, I'm spending quite a bit of money this weekend. Like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And I was like, no, like, that's how I was feeling. Like, I wanted to do that. Like, I just had this feeling of like, I need to do that. Like, I want to be generous right now because of the way I'm feeling. So I was like, this is going to come back to me. This is going to, like whatever you put out there, being generous, like it's going to come back to you in some way. Again, it's that mindset approach where it's like, if you're coming at this from a negative, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I'm not going to have enough, or that was too much, or like whatever, like, yeah, you're probably not going to get that back. But if you're like, no, like I felt like being generous, like that was great service. It was, I want to do that. And I know that it will come back to me. So roll into yesterday. Yesterday I went and explored Beverly Hills, which was really cool, and like went and got coffee. And then I found, like walking around, I found this little kind of like I don't want to say alley, kind of like between these buildings. They have some really cool, like between the buildings, they kind of have like these really pretty areas, but in between a couple of these buildings, there was like this restaurant that sat like right in between. And it was just so cute and serene because it was so much quieter than just being out on the street. But it still had kind of like that patio area where it was like sunny, but they had these trees and like this little fountain and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like I love this area. So I decided to sit down and I was like, oh, I'll just have like a cup of tea and maybe I'll journal for a bit. So I did. So I sat down and I like ordered a cup of tea and I was working on some of the stuff from this weekend, just like journaling on it. And this older guy, and I guess it was like his, I don't know, someone who works for him. He came up and he was like, you're so classy. Like, what are you working on? Like, blah, like just sparked a conversation, which was so funny. But he ended up picking up my check and he's like, order whatever you want. And I was like, what? Like, okay. But I totally saw like, that's how it comes back to you. And it was like literally the next day, like not even 24 hours later, but it's, if you are in that good mindset about the things that you're doing, like you're going to see that return on investment. You're going to see how it comes back to you so much quickly. So I wanted to say that because like, regardless if it was like the retreat specifically or just from the weekend, that was a huge takeaway for me. Like, be generous, be in that abundance like mindset and just that positive place, and know that it's going to come back to you and you're going to get that return on investment. And just believe in that because it totally will. And then when you see it, it's like, oh my God, like it totally did. So that's number 2. Number 3, this is another one where I feel like it's another one of those like, well, duh, right? But how many of us actually really do it? So being with my Mastermind Sisters, like I said, there's so many of us that are in completely different businesses, but there's a few of us that are in like similar businesses. So your natural reaction being a business owner is like, oh, they're competition, right? And so many of us do this, especially like in the photography world. Oh my gosh, you see this all over the place where like someone's another photographer, like, oh, they're competition, right? And you're worried about that. And then you start second guessing yourself, or you're like, oh, what are they doing? Like instead of approaching it that way, like, from this weekend specifically, and then just like seeing how my coach and her business friends who she met in a mastermind, how they are actually bringing their services together to collaborate and things like that. Like collaboration is key. And I wrote down in my journal that day, it was like collaboration over competition. Because instead of coming at it like, oh, they're competition, like how can I beat them or how can I get the client or things like that, it's coming from a place of like, okay, not just networking, but this whole new like level of how can I help you? How can you help me? Like, how can we really collaborate on this in order to serve our people, our clients, our potential clients? How can we serve them better by collaborating instead of competing, right? So if you're competing, like think about like the one person who's your ideal client. If both of you are competing and you're both like throwing services at her, like buy this, like you should pick me because you should pick, it's going to, first of all, overwhelm them. They'll probably walk away doing nothing. Or even if they pick like one of you, like the other one's upset and like things like that. But even in like the exact same business type, like even if you're both say like wedding photographers, or you're both in a very, very similar business, there are strengths. There's different ways that you are going to approach your business or your photography or your coaching or whatever it is differently than the other person, because that's just who you are. Like, it's just going to be different. Your stories, your experiences are all going to be so much different. So if you, instead of competing and coming at it from that angle. If you were to like, hey, if you do this differently and I do it this way, how can we collaborate to like better serve this person and actually give them like an even better experience than either one of us could have? So, I like get so many goosebumps like thinking about this, because there were so many things that like happened this weekend with my Mastermind Sisters. Like, so there's another girl who does business coaching, but she also does like branding and design work and stuff like that. And with me doing photography and coaching, and there was another girl who does personal styling, we want to do, maybe I'm throwing this out too soon, but we want to do a retreat where we collaborate and bring our services together to basically like help new business owners with their business while styling them, teaching them how to like dress on brand and how to like turn their brand into reality and have a photo shoot so that they have professional photos to share on their website and social media and stuff like that. So we want to bring all of our services together in order to serve our clients better, because our clients, like our potential clients, overlap so much. That's like, we could serve them so much better if we bring our services together versus just doing it like one at a time on our own, and things like that. So there's so many opportunities for the ways that you can collaborate with people, even if they're like in completely different businesses. There's just, oh my gosh, there's so many things, but it's just like, it's sitting down and like having that conversation with someone and like figuring out like, okay, like you do this, tell me what you do. I'll tell you what I do. How can we get creative and like bring these together and collaborate so that we can better serve our customers, right? Like, why is that not a good idea? So many things. That's number 3. There's so much more, but I wanted to touch on those top 3 because I feel like those are the ones that stood out to me, and also very like applicable to you guys that you can use and share, and hopefully just like get you to that next level too. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear what questions you have about, either the mastermind, the retreat, or about any of these top 3 takeaways. This is the live training. If you guys are new to this, I usually do a live training every Wednesday here in this group. So please feel free to invite friends in here if you know someone who is, starting a business or they need to get to that next level, especially if they're multi-passionate. If you guys haven't noticed, that's kind of the direction that I am going, is helping other people who are multi-passionate do all the things, manage all of the things that they do while being able to take care of themselves. So basically stepping in and owning their power and being able to monetize or manage all of their multi-passions. So basically not having to choose between everything that they want to do and achieve. So if you know someone like that, please feel free to invite them in this group. Please tag them, like whatever you need to do to get them in here, because I definitely want to talk to them as well as you guys. So please feel free to reach out. Let me know what questions you have or comments. And of course, if you're watching the replay later, just let me know you're here and I can always follow up with you later. So I have so much to catch up on now that I am home from all of our trips and just kind of get back into the swing of things. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you soon. And yeah, until next time, see you guys later.